Hey guys, this is my newest embroidery pattern. I hope you enjoyed the instructional video and like and subscribe. Thank you! A full list of materials is available with the purchase of my pattern, but we are using 11 different colors of embroidery floss, and I used Kona cotton for the fabric for my hoop. It's a 4-inch hoop, and I'm using a white colored pencil to trace the design and some needles. The easiest way for me to transfer a pattern is usually with my iPad, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I just adjust the size according to my hoop. But another way that you could do this is you could just print the design on some paper and hold it up to a window, as long as you're able to see through the fabric. I did try to speed up this video a little bit right here, but it does take a while to transfer a pattern by hand, so bear with me. Once I took the design off, I noticed that I missed a couple lines. It's hard to tell when you're using black fabric. So I just added them in. Obviously, as you can see, my outline is not perfect, and I don't think it's really necessary with this kind of pattern. Probably the cat is the most important part. Okay, so once I have transferred the design, I'm gonna be flipping it right side up. As you can see, it's kind of upside down right now. And the most important part of this is just to make sure that the fabric is really taut and centered, because if the fabric isn't taut, it will cause bunching when you're stitching, and it just doesn't look as clean. Making it taut is very simple. All you have to do is tighten the screw a little bit and then pull the fabric evenly around the whole hoop, and then you just repeat that. Screw it a little bit tighter, pull it, and make sure that it kind of is staying even around the hoop. You'll know that it's done when you tap the fabric and it makes a little drum-like sound. I didn't show that in this video, but that's a good way to know it's done. We are going to start with the sky, and the whole sky is only stitched with 3 strands, so the embroidery floss will need to be split in half. So for this hoop, I'm going to start in the center where the sun or moon is, whatever you want to call it. And all I'm going to do is basically make some straight stitches, and I'm going to go in the direction of that half circle. So I like to spread them out a little bit so that the fabric doesn't get really bunched up, and then I'll go back in and fill in the spots in between. This also helps with setting a direction that you want the stitches to go. Obviously, it doesn't have to be exact, but because you can just stitch over any ones that are like a little bit off the direction, but I think this is the easiest way to do it. Another note is that I like to make all the stitches around the same size. It doesn't have to be exact because the stitches are going to overlap, but this is how I like to do it. Now I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. Okay, so we're at the point where most of the direction stitches have been set, so we're gonna start filling in. All you're gonna wanna do is fill in those dark areas, kind of go in the same direction as the other stitches, but covering up all the black and any holes that you might see from stabbing the fabric. This is how I like to finish off a piece of thread. I just sew through some of the bottom stitches and then I cut it. So here I'm just kind of adjusting the shape of the circle. There isn't going to be any blending to the outside colors, so I want the shape to be very round. I am going kind of slow in this first step of the process, but the next steps are pretty similar, so it should go quickly. A lot of it is time-lapsed, but it'll be the same concept. Okay, so now we're on to the second color and we're going to be doing the same thing as the first color. We're just going to make some random straight stitches and going in the direction of this half circle on the outside, and then we're going to fill it in. The only difference with this step is we are going to do some stitches on the outside of the circle at the very end, just to help with blending into the next color. Now the whole area is filled in, and we're going to be doing what I said before. We're just going to make some random stitches, still going in the same directions as the other stitches, but we're going to be doing it on the outside of the circle to help blend it into the next color. Okay, so now we're on to color 3, and I'm not going to be giving much more instruction after this with the sky because all you're going to be doing is repeating the previous steps. So you'll set the direction with some staggered straight stitches, and then you'll fill it in, and then on the outside of the circle or the area that you're working in, you'll just make a couple of stitches on the outside to blend it into the next color. And that's it. You'll just repeat. It's going to be the same for the whole sky until you get to the fences. So around color 7, we are going to start doing some vertical stitches between the fence posts. But if you want to skip ahead to that part, you can go to the information of this video and click on between the fences, and I'll just show you how I do that. It's vertical stitches within the lines. Okay, for colors 7 through 9, we are going to have to stitch between the fence a little bit, and that will be different than the previous steps. So all you're going to be doing is making some vertical stitches in between the fence, and you're just filling in that area within the circles that you have drawn. So you're not going to go too far out of it, but it doesn't have to be perfect either. It can be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. I do like to stagger it a little bit. So yeah, you're just filling that in vertically. Okay, we're on to another fun part, the eyes. So for this, all you're going to be doing is some diagonal straight stitches. I think around 3 or 4 stitches per eye. And I just do it in the direction that the eye is going. Pretty simple. And if you make them a little bit too big, you are going to be surrounding them with black stitches, so don't be too worried. And just a small note, we are continuing to use only 3 strands, so basically split the embroidery floss in half for this step. Now at the center of the eye, I just make 1 stitch in the middle of the eye going from the bottom to the top, or the top to the bottom, doesn't matter. And that's it. Really easy. Okay, so for the fence, we're gonna continue with color 10, and it's basically the same concept as the sky, but instead of making the random straight stitches that go in a circle, we're going to be making them vertical for the posts. Oops, I turned my hoop a little bit, but basically I call them random or staggered straight stitches, and they're all gonna be going in the same direction. And once I kind of set the direction that they're going in, I fill it all in. And I just repeat that for every post. we're on to the final color. This is a specialty DMC floss. It's called Etoile, and it's sparkly. So we're gonna use all 6 strands. This is the only part where you will use all 6 strands. And we're basically gonna be filling in the cat the same way that we do the sky. You can refer to the stitch direction guide in the PDF, but I kind of just like to follow the shape of the cat, and we're gonna skip the tail completely. So what's happening right now is it's getting caught on one of the strings in the back, which happens to me because I need to have a cleaner back. But basically I'm just gonna be setting the direction with the floss, and then afterwards I'll go back and fill in the whole cat except for the tail. I love how it's looking. It's so fluffy because we're using thicker floss and it's got that little sparkle going through it. I love it. Okay, this is the best part, but also probably the hardest part. We're going to do a stitch called turkey work. And what you'll do is you'll pull the needle through and then you'll go back down right next to it. But when you're pulling it through, you're gonna keep a loop. It doesn't have to be a certain size, just not too small. And I like to hold it over, and then we'll make an anchor stitch, pulling the needle up right in front of the other stitches, and then put it over the other hole. So you don't want to go back into the same holes, but you basically want to cover them. And this will make it so that the loop stays. It looked a little funny the first time because I had string coming up from the back, but basically you're just going to be repeating this same stitch, making loops and filling up the whole tail. So I kind of think that about 2 loops fits sideways. You don't have to try to squeeze so many in there because at the end we're going to cut it and it'll look extra fluffy. So I just made 1 row of the loops and we're gonna make a 3rd going on top of it, and you just repeat it. Bring the needle up, then back down, and hold the loop over. It's easier said than done. Clearly, I get this tangled a lot. A toile is not the easiest thread to work with, but it's not a very long tail, so it'll go pretty quickly. So after I make the loop, I just do an anchor stitch over the top of it, and then I'm gonna repeat all the way up the tail. And at the very end, you'll see that I ended up adding a couple outside of the tail because I wanted to make the tail a little bit longer and loopy. So obviously make it how you want it. Now I'm gonna speed it up with a time lapse, but of course, everything went smoothly after this. I thought I was done finishing the loops, so I went through and started cutting all of them, and you just lift it up and cut right in the center. It's not going to be that important how you cut them, I guess, because we are going to trim them a lot. You guys, don't judge me too much. I am using KitchenAid scissors because for some reason I've lost all of my sewing scissors, and these are the sharpest ones in the house. Don't worry, they're clean. Okay, now we're gonna start trimming the tail. And I don't exactly know why I covered most of the screen with my hand, but you're just doing what I said. You're trimming it. You're cutting especially shorter around the edges is what I like to do. And then I keep going until I feel like it's good enough. I didn't want the tail to be so fluffy, but you can make it extra fluffy if you want to. I kind of wanted to see the shape of the curving tail, so I kept it to a minimum, and I just kept going until I was happy. I should probably film it next time with one of those cute like crane scissors, because you can just see it better when the scissors in your hands aren't in the way, so sorry about that. Okay, and this is me just adding 2 more loops because I decided to make the tail a little bit longer after the fact. Okay, so the hoop is all stitched and now I'm doing the back. This was kind of hard to film, but I'm just bringing the needle through, doing a running stitch. So up and down and up and down. And I like to make the stitches about the same length apart from each other, probably about 1 centimeter. But it's not too important. I'm gonna go around the whole circle, and then if it doesn't look like it's flat enough when I pull it tight, I will go back around. Very flexible because it's the back of the hoop. So you can kind of see here, I'm finishing up the last stitches going around the hoop. And once that's done, I've already started pulling it tight, and I'll just make sure I can pull it as tight as I can without ripping any stitches out. And then I did decide to go around again because I felt like it looked a little lumpy, so it wouldn't lie flat. And I like to just go up and down on those parts that haven't been stitched yet. Kind of hard to explain, but I think you'll see what I mean. And once I go through the whole thing, I decided to just end it there, and I tied a little knot. And that's it. And here is the final product, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it made sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. The pattern is available in my shop as well as some other patterns, and I hope that you will like and subscribe. Thank you.